Well, I hate to say I told you so, but the latest Helldivers 2 update is not enough, and I claimed that in a video a couple of weeks ago. Got a lot of disagreement, ridicule, and just not very nice comments, and now we sit 48 hours after the latest update, and the new content largely not enough to keep people coming back, largely due to nerfs. And I really uploaded a video that I think is an important video. It basically argues that, nerfs are not the answer. And I don't just outline a plan to buff everything or to raise everything. I know a lot of people think that that is the answer. I outline a very different plan on how I think Helldivers 2 could handle the weapon meta and the stratagems and basically create a rhythmic update that would have things being strong and then not strong anymore, but it would be in a way that would be, I think, creative and work within the lore of the game. So I said this morning during morning coffee with members, sometimes as a YouTuber, you hope a video does well because you're a YouTuber, but I actually hope that video does well for completely different reasons. I think it's a very important sort of dissection of why nerfing isn't the answer, why it typically doesn't work, why it's a fool's errand, and why PvE-only games especially need to completely abandon the idea. I don't think it helps their games. I don't think the communities ever respond positively to it. I think you end up driving players away, and if you look at the players' Steam charts and the Steam reviews, you can clearly see they are once again just completely misunderstanding how to treat the game as well as the community, and I think it's going to hurt them long term, and I think they could completely reevaluate how they're handling it. So we'll look at some of the comments from the upload. If you haven't watched it yet, please support the video. I love when you guys leave those comments. They get featured in these live streams. A great way to support the channel is to start every day with us on that premiere. It's called Helldivers 2 Nerfs Are Not the Answer. So this video is the discussion. So we changed the title a little bit. Basically like, look, nerfs don't work. I don't think that they work. I don't think they help with anything. And this is meant to be the live discussion after the fact. And a quick word to members. Thank you to everybody who's upgraded to Member Plus. A bunch of you've already done it. Make sure and check that, and we're close to hitting that next milestone. And then when you are a member, if you're here enough and you get gifted one maybe, you get to hang out in that morning segment even before the upload goes live. It's called Morning Coffee. And then we end the day with Writer's Room. And that way you can watch every upload every day, not just to support the channel, but you'll know what I think about a given topic. And now it's time to hear what you think. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Make sure you guys go through the daily ritual, man. Smash that like button. Really great turnout on that upload this morning. Thank you for everybody who is in the chat, engaging and talking. Real similar turnout to the last time that we covered the Helldivers 2 topic, and I argued like this update will not be enough, and I got like a lot of pushback. And again, I hate to say I told you so, but the only thing I think that's really going to cause a resurgence in this game is not, well, here's some new content and here's a new war bond. I think they need a philosophical shift in how they treat the weapons and the stratagems. And Han shot first, and so did you. Hilly kicking off the day and bumping the line up from 307 to 308. You guys are well on your way for the weekly goal of 500 members, and that unlocks community game night. So every Friday night I do a stream with members, hanging out with my wife, and then you guys can turn it into a community game night when we hit that goal. This week we're going to do Jackbox, and we'll turn off all the family-friendly filters. Sheriff Bruce Lee left a comment on the video and says, I like the notion of people don't check the math before they get angry about weapon nerfs. It's true though. It is. Like I said that in the video. It's like no one's going to say, hey, my favorite weapon got nerfed, my favorite weapon's weaker. Well, I better make sure and go crunch the numbers to make sure I'm correct in my assessment here, because that's always the pushback. People are like, well, the weapon's still good. Well, the weapon's still viable. Well, the weapon's still efficient. And it's like, nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. We are always going to play a game like this, and we're not going to say, well, is it viable or is still efficient? We're going to say, is it fun? Is it powerful? Like that's always going to be the question. The question is not, well, does it still work? No one argues against weapon nerfs. Now, typically they don't, at least not anybody that you should really take seriously. Like a lot of the times people might get hyperbolic and they might say, well, you've broken the weapon. Well, you've ruined the weapon. Well, that's obviously exaggeration. I think most often you're dealing with somebody who feels like, well, this weapon's not as fun as it used to be. I think that's the issue, is it's that the perception is not, well, let me see if it's still efficient. It's that, well, it's not as fun. You know, I'm not having as good of a time as I was before. And that's just something people are naturally going to recoil from. They're not going to continue engaging with something if they feel like the fun factor is slowly descending. It's not like it's plummeting. It's like, well, now the game sucks, right? Now this game's no fun. Now this game blows. It's like, no, but if that dial gets turned down enough, then eventually they'll just say there's nothing for me here. D the Great says, Lono, heck of a video, man. You've become the Ray Donovan of live service games. You're a fixer. Great vid. Please lean in and start consultation service in this field. It is your calling. I mean, I appreciate that. That's very kind. A lot of people, you know, have said they appreciate my input on live service games specifically. Jeremy Bruce says, very good video. Those were some great ideas. I really, really appreciate that, dude. Glad you like those. Henry Heck left a comment. Great video, dude. You made some awesome suggestions. I think they could just make stronger enemy variants that nullify certain guns. There's already a precedent there of the Terminids evolving, so like roaches adapt to raid these bugs can adapt to certain weapons. That can cause a power creep seesaw. You've got to be really careful with that, though. You can 100% create a power creep seesaw where, well, because the weapons are stronger, we got to make the enemies stronger. Well, now that the enemy's stronger, we got to make the weapons stronger. And before you know it, you're in the theater of the absurd. Like, all the weapons are obscenely strong, all the enemies are obscenely strong, and nobody knows which way is up. A seesaw of power creep would be, I think, difficult. No one wants to play with 4 mags on a fast fire weapon. That's not a fun change. Yeah, that too is, it's like when the CEO said fine tune, I said that right there, that's the problem. And I'm not trying to do that like persnickety, pedantic analyzation of a tweet. Like, well, I'm going to break down this guy's tweet and we're really going to figure out what's going on. But it's like, you shouldn't be fine tuning Helldivers 2. You shouldn't be tweaking Helldivers 2. It's not that kind of a game. We're not dealing with competitive PvP. We're not dealing with like an aspirational piece of content where, you know, people are going to be min-maxing their characters and, well, you're the healer and I'm the tank and he's the DPS. It's not that kind of game. You don't need to fine-tune this game. It's Starship Troopers, mate. Like, that's just what I keep coming back to. Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button, man. Thanks so much for being here. We've been streaming for just a few minutes, and it's nice to see so many of you here engaging with the topic. Let me know what you think. I mean, I'm sure there's other games you have played that have tried this before with weapon nerfs as well. It says, whoever gifted me, thank you. Yeah, somebody gifted you a member. Listen, if you cannot afford a membership right now, be here as often as you can. That increases your odds of getting a gifted membership. We have a very generous community. I've gifted a bunch myself. I do it every 25 members. And we've got a stretch goal this week as well that you guys are going to have to go crazy for if you want to hit before Friday night. You can make my wife play Destiny as a brand new character, and we'll see what she thinks. Everybody thinks that game is really hard to play as a brand new character. Victor left a comment and said, with the lore and the tone of the game, slapstick comedy like a la Starship Troopers, your idea of using over-the-top power swings each season is brilliant. If those type of seasonal changes fit any game, this is definitely one of them. But they need to keep the guns out of the paid war bond. Maybe have a different way of unlocking them, like requisitions of the stratagems. Guns out of war bonds, for sure. I think they could easily make that change and just make the war bonds cosmetic. I also, I really appreciated JC's comment this morning about Transmog. If you go back to the former CEO, he's still at the company. He just went into a role where I think he wants to oversee the game and the creative process a little bit more. And so he basically found his replacement and then, I guess, kind of demoted himself. A lot of people thought that had something to do with the PSN situation, which I think is completely ridiculous. It was very clear that he voluntarily appointed a successor. However, when he was the former CEO, and the subject of Transmog came up, I felt like his response was in the same vein as a lot of what I saw yesterday from the new CEO. It's like, you're taking your game too serious. You know, like Transmog, like, oh, well, the armor really means something. I forget the way that he phrased it. And it was like, what are you talking about? This isn't an MMO. This isn't an RPG. I remember at the time being like, what are you even saying? What that's not a valid reason to not give us Transmog. Just last night when I went to record footage, I was once again annoyed by the armor system. I was like, well, I love this perk, Democracy Saves, or Democracy Protects, I think is what it's called. I think it's one of the best perks in the game. And if I want to run Democracy Protects, I have like a handful of options. They all look the same. And there's a ton of great, cool looking, awesome armor that I have purchased or earned. And it's like, well, if I use it, it comes with a perk that I don't like. You are Starship Troopers. Like, let me dress up like a super soldier and have a fun time. Not, well, if you want that perk, sorry, you got to wear armor that you don't like. Like, what are we doing here? You know, it's letting me live out that G.I. Joe, you know, Aliens, Starship Troopers, 90s fantasy. And then you're like, but hang on a minute. We got to fine tune the weapons. This is too strong. Oh, too many people are using this. Well, we can't give you Transmog because the armor really communicates what type of perks that you have. What the frick are you even talking about? I got a good suggestion. You don't even need Transmog. Just put the armor perks as a selection before you go down. Just do that. Like, you have your guns, you have your stratagems, you have that what's it called? Is it called a booster? I forget the name of the thing that you select that's in like the octagon. And then just have your armor perk there. Because I would always choose Democracy Protects. I would choose it every time. I love that perk, but all this other armor, it's like, well, if I'm going to use this other armor, it's going to fundamentally change the way that I'm playing. It's like, even RPGs understand that that's annoying. It's like, well, I'd like to look the way I want to look despite stats and perks. Even super serious MMOs and RPGs let people transmog, for crying out loud. Good morning, Kat. Good to see you. Hope you have a great day as well. It must be frustrating seeing people use the stuff you put in your game. What do you mean, Brett? Fuzzy says, to give them some credit, I do feel they are listening. I just think they are interpreting their data points wrong. It's a good observation. Seems like a learning curve for Arrowhead. We are listening. And then they do more nerfs. Like, that's what I said at the beginning of the video. It's like, we've been here before with so many developers. We're listening, and then they do the same thing that everybody said to stop doing, and it's like, well, are you listening? You know, like I said, it feels like a video game version of Groundhog's Day. Developer does something that upsets everybody. Everybody complains. Developer says, we're listening. And then the very next time they do a significant update, developer once again does same thing that angered community 4 months ago. It's like, if you're listening... It's kind of like when Jerry Seinfeld says, you know how to take the reservation. You don't know how to hold the reservation. It's like, you know how to take feedback. You don't know how to hold and interpret feedback. You're just listening. Thank you so much. We are listening. And then that's all it is. It's basically an open mic with nobody on the other end of it. Bungie also nerfed on usage, Lono, but only if the weapon was deemed too powerful. Well, and someone during the premiere of the video said, isn't reacting or listening to player feedback, isn't that important? And I said, not necessarily. Like, it is important, but they're not necessarily reacting in a way that's proactive of like, here's the vision and goal of the game. This thing is out of step with that. No. That's not their reaction. Their reaction is, oh, everybody's using this gun. We better nerf it. That's not the way you react. And on the other side of the coin, you don't say, well, nobody's using these guns, just buff them. You're doing the same thing. You're not driving the ship at that point. You don't have a philosophy that's driving things. You're simply reacting to what happens. It's just a form of nerf and buff whack-a-mole. Is anything too high? Whack it down. Is anything too low? Whack it up. It's like, no. You will do this until the end of time, and you will never have a cohesive vision, or your players will not have established expectations. No one will know what to expect. They won't. You want people to walk into your game and have enough familiarity and enough expectations that they're not confused or bewildered or frustrated. And I think one of the major problems right now with just reacting is nobody knows what to expect. It's like, well, too many people use this weapon, or not enough people use this weapon, and that's what you're going to use to determine nerfs and buffs. So it's like, so if we all take a moratorium from a particular weapon and we boycott a particular weapon, are you going to buff it? Wouldn't that be stupid? Because that's not an actual reaction to, a fundamental game-breaking or game-determining decision. It's just, well, people aren't using it. That's not how you create a meta. That's not how you create a philosophy for your game. It's purely reactionary. There's a significant difference between being proactive and then, yes, you have to react to player feedback. If you're being proactive and you're saying, this is our vision for the game, this is how we view the power meta working out, and when things fall in or outside of that bell curve, you navigate that according to player feedback as well as according to player engagement. That doesn't feel like what they've been doing. What it feels like they've been doing, I've been playing this game since it first came out, and I played a little bit last night to get some B-roll, and it's just mindless fun. I was like, I forgot how beautiful this game was. The lighting and the explosions and the fire and just the feeling of the game. Like they've nailed so many aspects. And the thing that I keep coming back to is every time something is fun, every time something is powerful, you're using it with a sense of dread. You're like, yeah, this probably won't last. This is really fun, and this is really strong, and you have this loathing sense of, yeah, this will likely get targeted for a nerf. Because that's the expectation that has been set. The expectation isn't, well, I'm going to come back to every war bond and there'll be really fun weapons or really exciting chaos. It's, yeah, what did you take from us this time? What did you make weaker this time? That's what it feels like. Look at the cynicism on Reddit and Twitter and comments, and look at the player response. Look at the player base numbers. They didn't even get a 2-day rebound. They got a single-day rebound, and everything fell right back down again. It was like 60-something thousand, and then the next day, the peaks barely got into the 40,000s. Today, probably similar results, probably even lower. You can't do that with your game and expect people to keep coming back, because this is the other thing I said in my upload. It's like, it feels like you're just flipping levers and turning knobs and being like, what do you guys think? Is it good? And the player feedback is like, no, it's not good. We don't know what to expect anymore. We don't have a clear vision of where you're taking us or what the game's point is. What's the goal of these changes? Please tell me. Why are you fine-tuning weapons? Why are you doing tweaks? Tell me. I'll tell you what the response is going to consistently be. The response is going to be, we want to see a variety of weapons used, and we want to see players have lots of choices and options. You can achieve that without the way that you're currently treating the weapon pool. You totally can. And you don't have to use my idea, but I'm a little biased. I think my idea is pretty dadgum good. You create experimental weapons. Well, no, you take the current weapons and stratagems and you apply the experimental label to them, and they're crazy for a couple of months or a month. And then you're like, hey, we received that data. Thanks so much for helping us with that research, Helldivers. You put a little station in the ship. You could call it the RNDFD, right? Research and Development for Democracy. Here at the RNDFD, we want to make sure Helldivers are equipped. And you basically are constantly shifting what weapons and what stratagems are crazy, chaotic, and experimental. Some of them could be dangerous. Some of them could be like the unsafe mode on the Railgun. That's within the context, the lore, and the vibe and the feel of the game. and it gives players what they want without setting some unrealistic expectation that it'll never change. Because I'm firmly on the side of the developers who are like, we can't let you have a broken, strong weapon or build and never do anything and just leave it alone. We'll just make other stuff stronger. That's the same problem. You can't do that either. You're just doing it in reverse. Instead of hammering a weapon down, you're just raising everything else up. You're still going to end up with the same scenario of a very neutered, very bland cascade of weapons that all somewhat feel the same. And then you're going to end up having people all say the same thing. Well, then nothing really feels strong anymore because everything's sort of equal. Hitman says, Lono, Vulcan, I'm not sure what game that is, did the exact same thing and it absolutely killed the game and it was a really good game. It's as if they don't test anything. The Ministry of Research for Managed Democracy. Yeah, the whatever. The RNDFD just sounds good, right? Because we all know what RND is. Yeah, I mean, if you look at those numbers, Fuzzy, it looks like they're already on pace to fall right back down where they were before the update. It's like the first day the update hit, everybody goes up, okay, we're all back, and what you would want to have happen is you would want the next day to be higher. You would want word of mouth to spread and for people to say, hey, this is something that we want to see. This is something that we want to play. Thanks, man. This is great. And then everybody starts to come back. Sheriff Bruce Lee says, in the B-roll, that dude killed all of his teammates and instance before the drop ship kicked off. I barely survived. Yeah, I think that guy did that on purpose. I find it to be unlikely. I think that was somebody being toxic, and he just happened to miss me. And so he basically did like an airdrop on the landing pad, and I saved everybody. And then he tried to do it again, and he got one of the guys before he could get in the ship. Mash with the 20 bomb, an enormous gift to start the day. And I now owe you guys 5 members. Mash carrying the members lately, but he had some help yesterday from Silent Spartan. We got 2 heavy hitters taking turns gifting members. If you guys just got a gifted membership from Mash, make sure and say thank you. Mash left a comment on the YouTube video. He says, I agree with embracing the chaos. They are lucky it's not a PvP game where balance is of a very high importance. Focusing in on the fun and diversity of strategies and wacky additions is what made the game successful in the first place. Don't lose that. Exactly this. This video could have used a few fade to black transitions instead of just straight transitions. That's very funny, Hot Like Robot. Emotional currency? What does that even mean? Silent Spartan says, good video, has a lot of overlap with all PvE games. They should always be a busted build or a best weapon. Precisely. Thank you guys for the strong turnout today, as well as for all those great comments on the video. Make sure and watch those videos every day. Leave a comment and smash like. We greatly appreciate the support. We're primarily a live streamer, but I've been doing uploads because we think that's a better treatment of my monologues and what I have to say. So then we can just come here and only focus on the discussion. During the old format, sometimes I would still be doing the monologue right now. We've only been streaming for 23 minutes. So take a quick second if you've been lurking and listening and enjoying the talk show. Hit subscribe. You can talk in the chat if you do that, and then smash like. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Yo, good morning, Necro. I love Helldivers too, and I hope they're clawing their way back to attract more players. We have democracy to spread. Mr. Drev says, if they fix a flamethrower fire by it will collide with armor now, it shouldn't they make it after X amount of time? It strips armor from heavy to medium to light, so it wouldn't become useless. I didn't get down into the muck and the mire of the... I didn't get down into the muck and the mire of the specific changes because I didn't think that was helpful. I didn't think it was helpful because here's what typically happens when there are buffs and there are nerfs. There are people that are like, this nerf was fine, this buff was fine. Then there are people that are like, this nerf was too far, this buff wasn't enough. And you just get lost in an ocean of percentages and DPS and dot damage and all of that. And it's like, I'm not interested in having that discussion. I think that discussion is a waste of time. I think what you need to be doing is establishing a philosophy. So when you introduce new weapons or you want to introduce a theme like fire, the players come back with an expectation of having fun, not the expectation of, well, okay, what'd you guys ruin this time? What'd you nerf this time? Eugene says, honestly, don't think there's anything they can do to get above 40 or 50K concurrent regularly. Oh, I don't agree with that at all. I think if they add the right content or they have the right moment or they do the right things, I think they could easily, on Steam, I think they could easily get back up to close to 100,000. I firmly believe that. The fact that this War Bond update got them into the 60,000s, for sure. For sure they could get back to 100,000 concurrent peaks, especially during peak hours and weekends. All you got to do is capture what made the game so enjoyable, capture this idea of power and chaos, get that word of mouth going again. I'm not saying that if they don't achieve that they're failing. I'm saying you're certainly not giving people a reason to come back. And Detective Seeds with the 10 bomb takes us to 338. Thank you so much, Detective Seeds, and I owe you guys a 5 bomb of members. I'm going to do that now. Thanks very much, Detective Seeds. Guys, make sure and go through all those rituals, man. Appreciate you. I don't think they need to get to 100,000. I don't. Like, they don't need to get to 100,000 player peaks on Steam. But what they need to do is they need to look at what happened this time around, look at the Steam charts, look at the Steam reviews. They need to say, we're doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong. It wasn't a War Bond. It was just an update. The War Bond launches today. Oh, sorry. I misspoke. The update and the War Bond is today. You're right. That's my point, though, is if you're going to do an update and you get people to come back and the update immediately drives people back away, you have to see that you've made a mistake. It's not about like, oh my gosh, if they can't get back to 100,000 player peaks and they maintain that for weeks and weeks and months, well, the game is failing. I'm not indicating that at all. I'm not indicating that. What I'm indicating is Steam is a barometer, and what Steam is communicating right now is you're not understanding what will keep this game going. What they're doing is they're actively encouraging people to never come back. To never come back. Whether it's a War Bond or a patch or an update or a new piece of content, they're basically telling people, when you come back, it's going to be disappointing. You're going to be upset. You're not going to have a good time. That's when you start to have depreciating returns. So right now you might think, well, I don't know. They've got engaged players. They're coming back. They're coming back and they're getting the exact wrong experience to ever come back ever again. You're increasing the likelihood that they take an indefinite break from your game. I'm not trying to use the Steam charts and the Steam reviews as like this barometer of failure. It's more of it's a barometer of what you guys just did is not achieving what you should be trying to achieve here. Yo, I appreciate that, Detective Seeds. I made sure to take up for Reforge Gaming again to show solidarity against what happened. Oh, yeah, I had somebody come to me and tell me that, like, you and Brap took up for me. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. If what Hiroki Totoki said is, in fact, true, we're going to continue to probably get the things that we want to see. So, Sony's kicking that door in. Hopefully they're actually looking at it. All right, hang on. Fuzzy's got an update from their Discord. It says, what's this? A player feedback form? It says, in the interest of helping to organize your feedback and suggestions, we've created a form through Dino for users in our Discord. So they want people to submit feedback in their Discord. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to keep coming back to this. Accepting feedback, reacting to player behavior, those things are fine. Those things cannot be your driving force or philosophy. Those things should be there to complement and then interact with your driving force and philosophy. I outlined a philosophy in my video. Seemingly right now, they don't have one. Their philosophy is, we're going to try to fine-tune and balance the game. Why? Why would you be trying to do that? That seems like a complete and utter waste of time. And all you're going to do with player feedback is you're going to try to mitigate the negative impact of that philosophy. You've got it all backwards. If your philosophy was, we're going to stop taking ourselves so seriously, we're going to throw balance out the window, and we're going to embrace the pendulum of chaos. Do you know what player feedback and player behavior would do? it would feed and fuel that philosophy to help it be better. That's the opposite of what's going on right now. It's like you're trying to balance the game, and in the process, you're just seeing exactly how much it upsets the community, and I guess you'll dial some of it back. This is how you get people to leave. No one's going to sit around and wait and be like, well, because that was another thing the CEO said. And to their credit, I love Arrowhead for this. I'm trying not to be too hard on them. I love Arrowhead for this. They're engaged. They are. They're out there. They're talking. They're listening. They're replying to tweets. They're candid. I think that should be celebrated in a game. It's like, yes, you want developers doing that. Out there on the front lines, taking it on the chin. Everybody's angry and yelling at you, and you're like, okay, we're here to listen to what you have to say. Okay? However, I want to praise them for that. But on the flip side of it, I just feel like a lot of this could be just continued like ripples out of a symptom of it's symptomatic of the larger problem. They weren't necessarily prepared for any of this. They did not expect the game to be as big and as popular as it was. They did not expect to get this level of virality and passion and investment. And so they likely are figuring some of this stuff out right now. They're like, why? We didn't think about any of this. We just thought we would add guns and buff what needed to be buffed and nerf what needed to be nerfed, and and then everybody would have a good time, and now that their game is at a level where you're getting a lot more feedback on Twitter and your Discord and Reddit than you were probably equipped to pull in, we know their game wasn't equipped for the level of interest that it got. They didn't even have a proper queuing system when the game launched. As far as I can tell, I still don't think there's a queuing system. They just increase capacity beyond what's needed. There's one thing replying to a tweet to look good. There's the other that shows your actions is doing the complete opposite of what the customer's complaining about. I both appreciated the CEO's tweets, but also was like, holy cow, this is really telling. He's like, I don't really know about weapon design intent. I just know that it was being used a lot. What did you just say? What? Do you see? That right there is a microcosm of what I'm talking about. There's no driving philosophy of weapon design intent. It was just, a lot of people were using it against Terminids. That's a reaction. That's just reactionary. It's not, here's our design philosophy for fire weapons or fully automatic weapons or, weapons that are explosive based. Instead of saying, like, this is our design philosophy, these changes are to stay allegiant to that philosophy. It's, a lot of people were using the weapon, so we nerfed it. What? Do you not understand how player mentality works? So you think your crack squad plan, your genius play here was to say, people really like something, that's good enough, that's our reasoning to nerf it. You are absolutely breaking player trust when you do that. I don't care how well worded your blog posts are, no one's going to respond to that and be like, thanks guys, me and my whole squad loved that gun, thanks so much for nerfing it. Spitting facts, Lono, for once. I'm spitting facts for once? What? You have a yellow badge. It took me this long to impress you? I think the beauty about embracing the chaos and being open about it, says Mash, is even the community would be on your side, even if things don't land perfectly. As I said at the end of my video, I said, if you embrace chaos, I think the community would embrace it with you. No one ever celebrates balance in a game like this. Maybe super hardcore, like milsim-minded players. Listen, they're going to play no matter what. So to a certain extent, you have to parse feedback from your most loyal, your most hardcore players. Like, they're going to play no matter what, right? At least twice. Yeah. You're just joking. Yeah. Kicking it with Timmy B's like, man, I've been a member for 2 years. Lono is finally spitting some facts. He spits facts about twice a week. Yeah. Yeah. I get something right every now and again, a stopped clock is right twice a day. I just thought it was funny because knowing you and your vibe, I was like, really, Timmy? Like, really? Really, Timmy? Like, a backhanded compliment is not your vibe. It's not your style. But no one is ever like, guys, They did it. Let's go play. They balanced the game. No one says that. Do you want to know what people do? I'll tell you what they do. Everybody clamors to the exploit. Everybody clamors to the broken gun. Everybody clamors to the busted build. That's what people do. No one ever says, come on back, boys. They balance the game. No one does that. No one's posting a trending Reddit thread or a tweet or a viral video and is like, they did it, boys. They did it. A perfectly balanced game. All guns, weapons, and stratagems are equal. They did it. Confetti. Banner pops down. Let's play. That doesn't work. It's never going to be the driving force of engagement into your game. It's boring. It's a chess game. There's rules. There's rigid lines. It's boring. Chaos. Chaos is exciting. Something that's broken is exciting because it's laced with this idea that we're breaking the rules, but it's also because it's fun. It's fun. That's what happens. You will see engagement rise in certain games and heat maps of certain activities when people discover that something's broken or busted. Every time. Every time. Wow, everybody's using this weapon. Everybody's going to that spot of the map. Everybody's going to this part of the world. Why? Oh, well, everybody found out that if you stand on this flower and spin around 2 times, 1,800 boar spawn, and then you can kill them all. And if you chase them with spears, they'll run through other parts of the world and spawn more enemies. You can really maximize your XP if you take this route. And then somebody draws a route. It's got like crayon on it that they did in MS Paint. And then all of a sudden, everybody's playing that spot of the game and that spot of the map. Oh my gosh, if you could channel that, you would literally win the live service lotto. If you could figure out how to give people what they want instead of constantly being like, well, they put their hand in the cookie jar, so we have to slap their hand. Instead of doing that, figure out how to give them more cookie jars to put their hands in. Dark Taco says, skill-based matchmaking for the bugs. You like that line, Dark Taco? I was like, what's next, you know? We really got to balance this weapon. Everybody's using this weapon against the Terminids, and, you know, the Terminids are really complaining about the win-loss ratio, so we implemented some skill-based matchmaking. Shut the frick up. No one gives a single ounce of a frick if, oh, too many people are using a gun. Do you want to know why? Because they're unaware of it. They're unaware of it. When you've been playing Helldivers 2 recently, and you were using the incendiary shotgun or what, the incendiary breaker, were you like, dude, you know, everybody's using this weapon? No, you're like, this weapon's fun, this weapon's awesome, this weapon is ripping through the Terminids. Oh, it still works. It's still a good weapon. Oh, shut up. No one cares about that. No one cares about your justification or your diatribe or your long thread with crunched numbers and percentages of why the weapon's still good. All they know is the weapon doesn't feel as good as it used to. I agree, Lono. I agree, though, Lono, if they just rotated in some obscenely broken chaotic stuff every now and then, the game could actually be fun. That's quite literally what I advocate for in my video. I'm like, embrace the chaos. What are you doing? Balance is boring. Embrace the pendulum of chaos. And here's why I say embrace the pendulum of chaos. Every game has a pendulum that is swinging. Every game. If you have a weapon pool and you have either PvP or PvE, there is a pendulum that will swing. You are either buffing or nerfing something. You are either introducing something that's stronger, weaker, or not at all interesting. You're always going to have the pendulum swinging. And the player base is always going to wonder, where's it going, right? Oh my gosh, where's it going? The more that pendulum swings, the more likely you are to get momentum and interest from the player base. I almost use this analogy in the video. Going for balance in a game like Helldivers 2 is like trying to play musical chairs with 85 rules. Nobody would want to play. Right? No one want to play. No pushing, no shoving, no running. You cannot relocate the chairs. When you sit down, you have to buckle up. Everyone needs to wear a helmet, knee pads, elbow pads. And yeah, Johnny can't play because he's taller than everybody else. And we're going to have a very, very balanced and organized game of musical chairs. No one would want to play. They'd be like, this is freaking boring. This is stupid. That's what Helldivers 2 is doing. It's like, you're Starship Troopers, mate. I just keep coming back to that. That's like what I want to yell at them. It's like, you're Starship Troopers. Just be silly, be goofy, be chaos. Embrace that identity. You've got this posture of can't do transmog. Yeah, the armor really tells a story. What are you talking about, bro? I'm dropping onto a planet and blowing up bugs as well as my teammates. The armor doesn't tell a story. I want to look cool. Let me look cool. Oh, that gun's getting used by too many people. We better nerf it. What are you doing? Why do you have this serious posture? You're Helldivers 2. Own it. Own that identity. Disagree, I like rules. In board games at home, I have my kids sign a contract. Okay, but Hilly, that's the point. When somebody's in the mood for chess, they're going to go play chess. When somebody's in the mood for dodgeball or, I don't even know, like a pickup game of rugby, they're wanting something different. They're wanting something that's more chaotic. So, when people come to Helldivers 2, do they want chess? Do they want rules? Do they want balance and like super rigid lines? No, no one's coming to Helldivers 2 for that experience. Well, we can't let you transmog. What? You've got all this different armor. You have people landing on planets with like their arms out to look like Arnold from Predator. And you're worried about the armor telling a story? That guy's arm would get blown off from 2 seconds. He'd run too fast past one of these exotic plants and it'd rip his arm off. What are we even talking about? You're arguing about realism or telling a story or fine-tuning in a game that not once communicates that to the player. The game itself never signals to the player, oh, this is a balanced game, or oh, this is a game that's very serious, or oh, this is a game that needs to be fine-tuned and tweaked. It's like, no, this game's chaos and fun, and there's explosions, and it was really funny the other night when I blew my teammates up and their legs and arms were flying everywhere. That's the kind of game that it is. I worry the players left in Helldivers likely take the game way too seriously. You're 10 steps ahead of me, Hilly. I was going there. Do you want to know what the real danger is now? Listening to the players that are left. That's the real dilemma now. Because I'll tell you something. They all came and found my video 2 weeks ago, and they're a bunch of jerks. They are not nice. They are angry, and they will defend this game to the death. And they're the worst people to get feedback from. Do you want to know why? They don't know what they want. They're just locked in a room and can't get out. Like, they're just locked in a room and can't get out. They're like, well, this is the only game I play, and all I do is defend it to the death, and they're probably out here defending the nerfs, or they think it's better, or they think you should get good, or they think you're just a noob. Do you know how many people commented on my video and said, you sound like a scrub, go play something else? You sound like you suck, go play Call of Duty? If that's who's giving you your feedback now, good luck. Good luck. I wish you well, because those are the worst people to get feedback from. They'll defend this game like it's their mother. It's like, what are you doing? The content wasn't even out yet, and they all reacted to a thumbnail, and the entire point of my video was, if you want people to come back, new content, new war bonds isn't going to do it. You need a philosophical shift, and all they prove with the latest update is they don't have a philosophy that's driving the game, and they certainly have ideas about where the game go and what it should do that's antithetical to the entire game's theme. Like, it's a game of chaos, and you're talking about fine-tuning. Fine-tuning what? What are you fine-tuning? 3.5 years, woot. Thank you so much, Matt. Matt renews his VIP. Guys, Member Pluses and VIP bumped the line, takes us to 339. Well on our way of the weekly goal. Thank you, Matt. Anyone that comes back at this point won't be sticking around for more than a month. Eugene, I think it's lower than that, though. The ones that are left are the ones that'll be there in 2 years. Can you succeed trying to keep the casuals happy, or is it wise to play to your base? I think both. I think this is something that Bungie did masterfully with Destiny. They somehow figured out a way to appeal to both. Right? They somehow figured out a way to appeal to both. Here's why Eugene is wrong. Okay? He's wrong, and I'll tell you why. If you only appeal to your base, they're going to slowly shrink. There's a really good reason to make your war bonds and your updates exciting, and people will come back, play for a couple weeks, and take a break again. Do you want to know why that's so important? Because that keeps the game healthy, that keeps the game flowing with players, that keeps money coming in. If you basically tell those people who come back for an update and they don't have a good time and they feel like the game's turned into a hardcore, finely tuned, balanced milsim game, you know what they're going to do? They're just not going to come back anymore. And all you're going to be left with is that dwindling core. I'm telling you, it's a complete and utter mistake to become that dichotomous of like, well, they only come back for the updates, so we're going to focus on the core. Do you have any idea what people typically do when they come back for an update and they're having a good time? Do you know what they do? They spend money. They spend money. Do you know what I did? Hadn't played the game in a while. Saw a cool gun in one of the war bonds that I wanted to get. You know what I did? Bought some of the currency, and I bought the war bond, the premium war bond, and I got myself the gun. Like, now obviously that gets into the issue of should guns be on the war bond and blah blah blah, because then they're going to be scared of putting powerful weapons in the war bond, so then the war bond's going to be full of like neutered, boring, bland weapons that like maybe look a little bit differently than a standard weapon, so it's purely cosmetic, and then it kind of feels like it's not really even worth using. So then what did you grind for? Because if you put power on the war bond, then you're going to have people arguing pay to win and blah blah blah. Listen, I came back, hadn't played the game in a while, and that was one of the first things I did. Ooh, a piece of candy. I want the piece of candy. And I spent money. So I don't think you can swing and be like, well, let's just appeal to the core because the core will keep coming back. No, they won't. They'll quit too. They're acting as if the hardcore players are a constant. No, they're not. They'll be just as quick to leave if they're not having a good time. Why? They're a human being like all the other human beings that left. They're not robots. They're not robots. So I think you have to appeal to both. And here's the deal. Well, thankfully, the weapon I wanted wasn't behind 900 plus medals. It was on the first page. Lona looking young today? I look young today? You know what? Yeah, the bags under my eyes are kind of going away. I've been getting better sleep and I've been riding the bike again. I'm down like 6 pounds. So maybe that's what it is. If they do a good patch and word of mouth is the best advertisement, yeah. You'll quit before you earn it and never come back. I mean, there's obviously a discussion to be had, Eugene, about the war bonds and the feeling of approachability for returning players or new players. That's something that I addressed in my last video. It's like, you guys have got to completely rework this. It's just a freaking disaster. And last night, it was like glitching out, and my war bonds were all in the wrong order, and I kept scrolling past some of them. I don't know if it was a glitch or if it was my controller. My controller didn't feel like it was acting up, and yet I was scrolling past war bonds. The whole war bond menu was acting really, really strangely. They were completely out of order, and it looked like some of them were missing. I quite literally had to scroll 3 or 4 times before I realized that it was like double scrolling past war bonds. I was like, why is it doing that? I don't think my controller is having an issue because I used it to capture footage and I didn't have any issues controlling my character. I always hate, a $5 super chat from from Sneaky Wolf. I always hate when shills defend a game to the death, even when it's going in a bad direction. In fear, it will never get fixed. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Once the avalanche starts, do you feel it can even be saved at this point? Says Hitman. It feels like it's sputtering out, and I don't see a huge wave coming back. So, I'm not concerned for the studio or the IP. What I'm always advocating for is maximizing. You can maximize the number of people that come back. You can maximize the number of people that spend money. And you know what they're doing right now? They're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're making it extremely easy to just be like, I don't want to play that game anymore. Like, it doesn't feel like they're maximizing. It quite literally feels like they're... And again, this is the problem with reacting. Instead of publishing like a video or a blog and saying, this is our philosophy, this is going to dictate what we do to weapons, it feels like that generic, game dev philosophy of, well, we're going to try to go for balance because we want there to be diversity within what people use. Okay, that sounds so great and so noble, but it also sounds really doe-eyed and naive. It's like, you're never going to achieve that. No game ever has. Okay. No game ever has. So, if that's your philosophy, my pushback continues to be all that philosophy is going to put you in a position of is you are back on your heels and you're just bouncing off of data points in a reactionary way. Oh, a bunch of people are using that weapon? Kabing! Well, we better react and nerf it. Oh, how many times are you going to do that before you realize there will always be a weapon that people clamor to? There will always be a weapon or a build or a stratagem or a grenade that people decide is the best. Almost universally, that's what happens. And here's the thing people need to realize. That's not a bad thing. It means you have a player base that's communicating, that's adept, that understands your game, and is playing in a way that the systems that you built, they're able to deduce the good stuff from the bad stuff. That's a sign of health. Like, this idea that, well, oh, everybody's clamoring to this weapon and that's a problem. No, stop. Don't even go that road. Don't even go that route. That's a good thing. That means that people are playing the game in a way where they're understanding how to succeed and they're trying to find the best way to succeed. I got news for you. If you think the ideal is to say 100,000 people played today and we got an almost universally well-distributed equilibrium of weapons, stratagems, and grenades, I got news for you. That's not a good thing. That means nothing is standing out. That means nothing is getting a clamoring, organic sense of urgency. No one's doing that. That's boredom. That's boredom in a week. That's not good. I don't know why people think that that's what these companies should go for. Having fresh metas, having people change up what they build, yes, that's important because it's almost like shocking your muscles. It's almost like shocking your brain. It makes the game feel fresh. It makes the game feel fun. But there's other ways to get people to do that. Instead of saying, oh, everybody's clamoring to go get this weapon, so we better nerf it, you should say, how can we get people to clamor in another direction? We want them to feel like they're choosing it. We want them to feel like they're the ones doing it because then they're going to feel like it's exciting and it's awesome. Well, you can't just buff everything because that creates the power creep seesaw. You can't just keep buffing everything. Creature says last call on Frickmas taking it down tomorrow. And we didn't even send an email about it, though. I thought we were going to at least try and do like one last-ditch effort email and let them have it for a week or something. Mediocre Milken says, this is what happens when you have a non-live service studio do live service. They are learning on the go, and in this case, it seems like they aren't learning anything except how to lose players. Here's the thing. In both of the scenarios that I just outlined, people will get bored. They will. Do you guys remember the early build? You remember what it was? Do you remember it was Personal Shield Railgun? Everybody ran Personal Shield Railgun. Everybody. Now, somebody might hear me screaming, yelling, ranting, and waving my arms around, and they might be like, well, if that guy had his way, we'd all be still running around with Personal Shield Railgun. Nope. No. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm saying is, you are interpreting the data incorrectly when you say everyone's using Railgun and the Personal Shield. This is a problem. No, it's not. Nope. No, it's not. As the CEO indicated, he said, is this a problem? Yes. Is it a big one? And he goes, I don't know. Nope. You've answered the question incorrectly. You are awarded no points. It's not a problem. Nope. It's not. That data point is just the data point needs to be interpreted, right? It needs to be interpreted. If you're running a fast food restaurant and you're like 90% of the people that are coming in are buying this meal and they're not buying this meal, well, that's a problem. No, it's not. You would want to figure out why. And then you would want to figure out how to either capitalize on that particular meal and get better margins on it so that you make more money, or add whatever it is that's appealing about that meal to other things, okay? This analogy only goes so far, but the point is that when you get a data point, the data point doesn't speak for itself. It needs analysis and interpretation, and purely coming to the conclusion that everybody's running Personal Shield and Railgun, and that's a problem. No, it is not. It is only a problem if it remains that way for too long of a time. It by itself is not a problem because it communicates that players are finding power, using power. And that typically means they're going to keep coming back. They're having a good time. I have to open up the office door. Give me 1 second. So as I said, the two scenarios that I just outlined, we did it. We achieved it. A complete, even distribution of weapons and stratagems across the entire player base. Nobody's clamoring to anything. That right there would be the death of your game because everybody would be so bored. Nobody would be clamoring to anything. Nobody would be excited about some broken build, some strong weapon, some awesome thing that they heard about. That would expedite boredom. Now, the other scenario, if they would have just left Railgun, Personal Shield alone, boredom would eventually hit there too, because after a couple months of that, people would be like, I'd really like to shake things up, I'd really like to use something different. So, point that I'm making is, instead of interpreting everybody going for Railgun and Personal Shield as a negative and a bad thing and trying to gotta tamp that down, you say, what does this tell us about our player base? What's it tell us about our player base? We're trying to learn about our player base right now. There's no wrong answers. What do you say? What do you say, Dave? It says that they like power. Exactly. Let's put that on the board. What else does it say about our player base? Yes, you, Steve. It says that they communicate to each other. They're talking. They're somehow all figuring out this is the best. Good one. Put that on the board. You do that. You take everything you can glean from that data point about your player base, and then you want to know what you do? You try to give them more of that. Instead of just, we need to take this away because we want the player base to not do that. Oh, for frick's sake, you just failed the quiz. That's not at all what you should do. Data is educating you about your player base in order for you to provide more things to them that they like and less of the things they don't like. And I'm here to tell you, you've learned virtually nothing if you think brand new update, brand new war bond, we haven't done anything in a while, we're going to get people to come back and have a good time. And one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to nerf weapons that are popular. Oh, for frick's sake. Come on. What are you doing? No. Now. Yeah, that's the point, Tiger Tears. They literally did a fire-based update and they nerfed fire. What? Huh? Now, let's go back to my idea. I love my idea. I'm a cheerleader for my idea. The RNDFD, Research and Development for Democracy. You put a little computer in the ship that has little messages that pop up every once in a while about experimental weapons and experimental stratagems. And do you want to know what you do when you have a fire-based update and some fire-based weapons coming? You know, you got any fire in your fire-based update? You got any dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? Right? If you've got this fire-based update coming, do you want to know what you do? I tell you what you do. That little RNDFD computer lights up, and you put out an update from the ministry, a little video saying, hey, the RNDFD's got some new stuff for you to play with. And everybody goes into the game, and everybody goes to check out the weapons, and they say, we've got a bunch of experimental fire weapons because we're trying to figure out what the best way to kill Terminids are, and we're hearing that fire is really good. And now you have all these weapons and you have all these stratagems that are nuts and they're crazy and they're strong. And guess what? If you had to nerf a couple of things, you know, if something was outside the bell curve, if there was a weapon or a stratagem that was kind of going crazy, you could probably do that when you're doing this because you're doing a looky-loo. You're getting everybody to look over there so that you can do what you really want to do over here. You're pulling a looky-loo on them. You're pulling a little sleight of hand. Now, the key to this update, or this thing that I'm trotting out, is that you have now created a context for two things that I love. Contextual power and buffs. You get to do both. You get to smash them together and do both. Contextual power is, for right now, or for this context, or this enemy, or this planet, these weapons are really strong. It's a really, really great way to laterally add power to your game without creating power creep. You introduce a weapon type and an enemy type that are made for each other. Right? You also get to add buffs. Everybody loves a good buff. Whoa! They made that weapon stronger? I can't wait to try that out. And what this would do then is it also sets the expectation in the player's mind. This won't last for forever. This is something experimental. They're going to take this away. And don't worry, when they take it away, they'll replace it with more. Oh, the next big update is lightning and electricity and shock? Cool. There'll be a bunch of experimental weapons for me within that context. There'll be a synchronistic form of the game where, you know, the major orders and the planets and the modifiers and the enemies are all working together, and I'm landing and I'm shocking the world and I'm having fun, and I am now holding on to the pendulum of chaos. I'm just swinging back and forth with the game, and I'm having fun the entire time, because now what you're doing is you're giving people what they want. You're giving them really, really strong things to clamor for. Why? Because they're going to do it anyway. So you might as well make it fun, and you might as well make it a matter of the design philosophy and the mechanics of the game. Like, if you don't do this, I'm here to tell you, you're going to wander in the wilderness of, we can balance the game. God, we can do it, guys. We can do it. We can balance the game. No, you can't. No, you can't. Fool's errand. It's a fool's errand. You know, it's like that episode of Seinfeld, Friends with Benefits, where it's like, you're going to do the thing that nobody else has managed to figure out. You're going to do this thing and not get emotionally entangled with the other person. Yeah, sure. You guys go right ahead and try and figure that out. And they don't. They don't. It ends up not working, right? That's the joke of that episode, is that they try to do something that nobody else has ever been able to do. It's like, has anybody ever done this? Has anybody ever figured this out? Like, highly competitive games, maybe you could say, are incredibly balanced, you know, like esports. But in general, like games like this, like PvE, I don't think I've ever seen a game pull it off. Division 1, 2, Destiny 1, 2, Anthem, Borderlands. None of these games have ever figured it out. There's always a gun that rises. There's always a gun that's the best. Always. Your idea is good, but still won't keep people around. They also need to add content diversity. Killing the same enemies in the same mission, the same biomes, the new guns will get boring fast. Oh, mediocre Milton. The beauty of my idea is it gives you content elasticity. Now, you can go into existing content and add modifiers, add latent weaknesses in the enemies. You can add new enemies that are weak to fire, strong to fire, weak to lightning, strong to lightning. What I'm doing is I'm creating the perfect sandbox for nothing really to ever stay the same, but it always feels fresh. I'm trying new things. I'm using new things. I'm fighting new things. Oh, I'm not just doing that. The things that I'm using are powerful, chaotic, and fun. You see? Like, I thought about this for a long time. I would actually love to discuss this with somebody who is more well-versed into game development, whether, like Pirate Software or somebody, because Thor was advocating for, you don't nerf, you buff the things that aren't being represented. And it sounds great. I used to say the same thing. I think he's very intelligent, and I think he's so close, and so many other people are so close to the solution. The reason that's not a solution is you're headed toward the same destination that the nerfs take you. It's just in reverse. I want you to picture a plank of wood, okay? I want you to picture a plank of wood, and there's all these nails in the wood, and there's a few standout nails. The nerfing strategy hammers those nails down, and what you end up with is this flattened out meta of weapons. Boring. Nobody cares about that. People are going to psychologically respond and clamor to power. They're going to go where the power is. They're going to take the path of least resistance, okay? So I want you to picture that plank of wood where you just flattened out all those nails by nerfing. Now I want you to imagine, instead of doing that, you leave those nails alone that are standing up, and then you raise all the other nails. You went and landed in the same destination. You just took a different route. Now what do you have? A flattened out meta of weapons where nothing's really standing out. Boring. And more than likely, if you do that, you're going to put yourself on a power creep seesaw where, well, now that everything is this strong, it's invalidating content and making it too easy. So we have to react and make the enemies stronger. Well, when you do that, you're nerfing the weapons. You're still nerfing them. Do you see? You're headed to the same town. You're headed to the same destination. You're just taking a different road. Now, it might have the illusion of like, ooh, this is better, right? We're buffing the underrepresented weapons. You're going to end up in the same place. And everybody's going to get bored. And everybody's going to say all the weapons feel kind of the same. Everything feels kind of neutered. Nothing feels that standout and strong. I'm bored. And they're going to leave. That's why you've ruined my board with a nail in it. That's why when I saw that clip of Pirate Software saying that, when I saw that clip of Thor saying that, I was like, it sounds so good, especially with his buttery, deep, booming voice, right? It sounds so good. And yet, I'm like, nope, no. You're going to end up in the same place. You're going to end up in the same place. You're not going to end up with this vibrant, exciting meta of weapons. You're going to end up with this bland, flattened out, boring, unexciting. And then, you know what else is problematic with that? I'll tell you what else is problematic with that. Picture the nails in the board again. All right, get that picture in your mind. and you've raised everything up, and you've buffed instead of nerfed. What do you do when you add new weapons? What do you do when you add new weapons? What do you do? Well, you got to make sure they're all on level with those nails. So does that make those weapons exciting? Or do they just kind of blend in? Yeah, they just kind of blend in. Like, they're not that exciting. Got to get them right in here. Got it. You can't have any standout weapons, right? In my system, I know I'm biased because it's my idea, but I think my system is superior, and I'll tell you why. You've created a context where the new weapons are the best weapons. They're exciting, they're chaotic, they're experimental. And you can always, and here's the beauty of this too. Let's say in a year, they add some new fire weapons and they make them experimental. So they're part of the R&DFD, the Research and Development for Democracy, and they're experimental and they're buffed. Well, guess what you could do? You could also take some of these other fire weapons that haven't been around. They've been around for a while and maybe they're not getting used as much. And you could include them and buff them up. So what you're doing is you're adding new, you're making the new exciting, and you're also saying, hey, let's grab stuff that's already in the game and been around for a while. Let's buff it up too and make it experimental, because there's people that are like, oh, I miss using that weapon, or I really like this weapon, but oh, the new stuff's cool too. And you're giving people more of a diverse offering, but you're giving yourself a context where you can say, the new stuff's awesome. Come and use it. Oh my gosh, it's fun. Would you have made an event for the new damage type? That's the beauty of my idea. It would ripple out through your entire game. You could add modifiers. You could add aspirational content, enemy types, new versions. You could do all sorts of things, because if the theme is fire, oh, buddy, you better watch out. Because some of the new content or some of the new enemies, they're resistant to fire. Oh man, but the new weapons are awesome and I like using them. Okay, great. You can use them in a lot of the content and a lot of the new content. But this particular piece of content over here, and they would make you want to run it for whatever reason. If you want people to go into content, put a carrot in there, right? Player incentivization is always superior to player criminalization. You never want to punish the player. You want to incentivize the player. So you would say, yeah, go into this content. Oh, and guess what? Some of those weapons that are getting kind of ignored right now because they're not experimental, well, they're really effective over here. Maybe there's cryo weapons. Maybe you have some enemies and some planets and some modifiers that make them resistant to fire, but these cryo weapons are really effective. So then what you're doing is you are still making the entire group of weapons relevant, but in their own way. There's so much you can do with this. Because I think a lot of people, if I try to argue against my idea, I think what somebody would say is, well, what you're doing is you're invalidating the entire weapon pool and all these stratagems every single time you add these experimental weapons. You know what? That's fair pushback, and I think you would protect against that by having enemies, instances, and activities, and situations where the experimental weapons would be the wrong choice. They would be the wrong choice. And you would motivate players to go inside this content. I tell you what you could do. Here's what you could do. This works within the context of the idea. Yeah, we've got these experimental fire weapons. The RNDFD is trying to figure out the best way to use fire. And so you'd have all these really, really strong fire weapons, and they would be labeled experimental. However, in order to use some of those weapons, or in order to make some of those weapons stronger, to augment them, buff them, put mods on them, whatever, you know what you do? You make people go fight against enemies that are resistant to them. You give them a power incentive. Well, we've got this new piece of content, and we've got two new pieces of content. We got this over here, and the fire's going in, and you're wrecking, and it's fun, and it's awesome. But if you want to make those fire weapons even stronger, there's these enemies and planets over here that are resistant to fire. You're going to want to take some cryo weapons. And when you take those cryo weapons, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be freezing the enemies, and you're going to be gathering samples. And those samples are going to give us analysis of weak points. And that analysis of weak points will then be used to create an augment for your weapon to make it stronger. So now your investment in that content is rewarding you with making those experimental weapons stronger, therefore motivating continued engagement and a sense of investment in that power instead of just it's powerful, it's fun, it's awesome. It's like, no, you can actually make it stronger. Just like that, you've come up with an idea that works within the confines of what they've built and motivates players to be shifting around, trying different builds and trying different things, and not just, oh, well, you made the fire weapon strong, so everybody's using the fire weapons. No, you would even create a seasonal context of, yes, we are researching these weapons to make them stronger, so you want to use them, they're awesome, they're strong, but throughout that season, you would be actively working to make them stronger by going into contexts where they're not effective. So that would then promote different weapons and different builds because they're resistant to fire, so you got to go with a completely different strategy and build here. Well, why would I want to do that? I want to use the strong stuff. I'll tell you why you want to do it, because if you do it and you get the unlocks and you get the missions achieved, you're going to make those weapons stronger. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. There's a whole world of untapped potential in games if they would take the shackles off of trying to balance. Take them off. You don't even know where you could take your game if you would stop this nonsense. It's nonsense. There's so much potential. You're putting a ceiling on your game when your game could be outside running free. Like, quit. Oh my gosh, what you could do with this. Like every season, every war bond could just be so exciting and fresh and new. It's like new weapons, new abilities, new things to chase, new power to feel and to sense and to feel like I'm doing it and I'm investing in this and I'm making my build stronger. Jiminy Christmas. But you want to sit here and fine-tune your game and lower a gun's strength because a lot of people used it? You do you, boo-boo. But nobody's playing that game in a year. They're going to be like, I'm bored. All they ever do is make stuff weak. What if you were the game that everybody said the opposite about? Oh, they don't nerf things over there. They've embraced chaos. Every update's it's a freaking blast. There's always something strong. I'm blowing my friends up. I'm blowing tanks up. It's great. They're all about power and chaos over there. That with nerf? Yeah, I mean, they might nerf something here and there, but who cares? They're just pouring power in my lap every time there's an update. If they ever implement an attachment system, I could see a bayonet being an option. Nothing special. Just a damage boost to melee. Yeah, maybe. Or just give us a sword. My son tried out Helldivers the other day. It's a little out of his depth. He's good. He's 8, but it's a little out of his depth. It's kind of a challenging game. It's fast. You're getting attacked a lot. I'd send him into a lower level mission by himself, so he didn't matchmake. He would probably do fine with a team, but I didn't want to put him in the harder content. Anyway, I also didn't want people talking, and I didn't want to go into the settings and turn off communication. Anyways, the first thing my son said is, he's like, why don't I have a sword? Because the bugs kept getting up close to him. He's like, man. He's like, I'm reloading. He's like, I want a sword. Why don't I have a sword? And I was like, buddy, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. Let's read some comments on the video. Guys, if you haven't checked out the video, I argue that Helldivers 2 nerfs aren't the answer. Genuinely hoping Arrowhead watches it and genuinely hoping they glean something from it. I mean this. I know when you have an idea, you're very biased and very protective of the idea. I've been covering live service games, loot-based games, and games based in power and nerfs and buffs. I've been covering these types of games for almost a decade, and I'm here to tell you, I really think these ideas could go really far in a game like Helldivers. I mean it. They're probably the perfect game for some of what I've outlined today, specifically in that video. So let's check out some of the comments. If you guys watch the video and hit like and leave a comment, you might get featured in the live stream. So always make sure and check out that upload every morning. This guy here named Joe DK, he says, Arrowhead balanced me right into uninstalling and playing something else that's actually fun, and when I give them my hard-earned money for a war bond weapon, they don't nerf it into oblivion 3 weeks later and keep my money. Yeah, nerfing is a problem for that reason alone. Like, nerfing is a problem for that reason alone. Somebody feels like, well, I spent money to get that war bond. I spent time to get that weapon. They ran into this. They ran into this in Destiny all the time. You grind, you grind, you grind, you grind. Finally get the god roll. Nerf. When I will never forget this. When I got the Suros regime in Destiny 1 and it was nerfed a week later, homie, I can tell you right now that the level of anger I felt, it was so potent. It was like, are you kidding me? The first time I ever saw a screenshot for the Suros regime, I was like, I need that. Give me that. I wanted it so bad. My friend had one. This other guy had one. And he got a second one. I was like, you motherfucker. And then I finally got one. And a week later, they published a blog. And back then, you could actually reply to the blogs. Like, you could, like, leave comments, right? Before the company, stopped allowing that. It got pretty toxic in their defense. Anyways, a week later, the Suros regime got nerfed. I was furious. Because see, you have to understand something that happens in a game like this. You can't create things for people to get attached to and get like a surprise Pikachu face that when you walk in the room say, you remember that bank commercial where the guy was like, yeah, you like that truck? And there's like a kid playing with a truck. He's like, really play with that truck. And he goes over and he takes the truck away and he hands him a piece of cardboard. It's a cardboard cut out of a truck. And the kid's like, this is a piece of junk. And he's like, yeah, but you didn't read the terms and conditions. There was like terms and conditions on the bottom of the truck. And the kid was like, it was like this genuine response. They were really creative commercials. Like, you can't walk in the room and be like, yeah, you like that Suros regime? You like that Suros regime? You like that, incendiary breaker? We're just going to take it for a second. No, it's fine. It's fine. Just chill. Just chill. We're just going to take it and break it. It's like, no. And everybody's like, why'd you do that? And they hand it back to you. What's the problem? It still works. And you're like, using it. It's like, doesn't feel the same anymore. It still works. That doesn't matter. I don't care if it still works. It doesn't feel as good. Justin Fowler says, people calling this a PvE game, but one aspect is often overlooked. Joel. So when's he getting his butt kicked? He's going to pass forward notes. Did I catch you having fun? Oh, man. And it's gone, right, Big Juicer? My gamer tag is because I mained the Monarch in PvP for years and it never got nerfed because no one liked bows. I mean, I guess that's the real secret, right? That's the real secret. Just use stuff that no one likes and it'll never get nerfed. This guy's got a good comment here. He says, it's a PvE game. This is Blazing289 left a comment on the video. It's a PvE game. They add new enemies, but keep making us weaker. I want to fight hordes of aliens with 3 of my mates, and I want to be able to have fun with everything, but I guess I'm forced to use a single weapon until they nerf it, and then keep following the best weapon, so I can actually have fun and kill things. This is such a great point. This is such a great point. Oh my gosh. You want to know why this is such a great point? Let me tell you why this is such a great point. You say, well, everybody was using the incendiary breaker, so we nerfed it. Okay, let me ask you, what do you think's going to happen? Okay, what do you think's going to happen? There are going to be people that stop playing and get angry, and then there are going to be people that keep playing. What do you think the people that keep playing are going to do? What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're just going to keep using it? You think they're just going to make the best of it? No. They're going to go look for the next best weapon. You have not solved the problem. You have not fixed anything. All you have done is either drive a player away or put them in a disgruntled mindset where they either continue to use a weapon that feels less good, it feels inferior, so now they're experienced, and the experience they're having up here when they're playing is not great, which that's not how you want people experiencing your game. If they're experiencing their game and they're feeling a sense of diminished dopamine and frustration and anger and angst, they're less likely to come back. Or you just put them on a path to go find the next best weapon. So you haven't really solved any problems. You've merely created 3. You've created 3 problems. The player that quits, the player that keeps using the weapon is now frustrated, or the player that goes and looks for the next best weapon. You have not solved a single problem. You have merely caused 3 more. It's like trying to fix a crack by punching it. Psh, fixed it. No, you didn't. You just created more. It just spiderwebbed out. What in the heck? You've just made the situation worse. And you can see in the player's response that there's another path. They're going to go look for the best stuff anyway. So why not embrace that and say, well, let's give them the best stuff on a regular basis and make it fun and chaotic and nuts, instead of trying to indirectly manipulate them into using other stuff. You made a good point. The bugs ain't going on Twitter and complaining. Right? The Terminids are like, bro, come on, man. Incendiary breaker again? Zubair says the people on the second best meta are still there, and now you've added this new crowd, so the new best meta has even more people in it. Right. They just kind of trickle down into whatever the next best meta is, Zubair, exactly. And guess what's going to happen? According to their own philosophy, well, everybody reacted to the incendiary breaker nerf. Guess what? They're going to clamor to something else. And what are you going to do when that happens? Is that going to be your next update? Well, you know, after 30% of the people doing Terminated content were using the incendiary breaker, we nerfed that. Now everybody has clamored over here to this gun. And so we can't have that. So we need to nerf that. You're just playing best gun whack-a-mole. Listen, it's got to be exhausting as the developer, isn't it? You don't like being yelled at. You don't like watching a video like this, you know, watching some, you know, guy in a chair with a microphone trying to act like he knows better than you. That's not fun. It's got to be exhausting to constantly try to find whatever the best weapon is or whatever's too strong and nerf it down, knowing they're going to yell at us and get really angry. Like, come on. There's a better path forward. You know? There's a better path forward. This guy says, gee, I wonder why people use so little weapons. Maybe because the other 80% suck. Good point. The number of people that responded to my last video about, you know, the update's not enough. The number of people that were basically saying, you know, you just need to get good. I'm here to tell you that's a worrying thing. If your community that's left starts arguing and acting that way, that's not what you want to see. Because you don't want to know what those people are. They're the ones who toxically kick people and yell at them when they're not running the best gear. Because they're there to play. They're there to compete. They're there to win. Oh my gosh. I never want to play with people like that. Good Lord. They're insufferable. Well, if you run this build here and you dive like this, you can do a reload cancel. When you do that reload cancel, you can actually increase your DPS by 0.2. When you add that 0.2 over the course of a 5-minute interval, you're going to kill more bugs and therefore have a healthier ammo economy. So when you run this build, it's best, and that's just, I think, an expression of skill. And then if you go to the end of the game and you get all the way to the end of the match, you're going to have a lot more ammunition, a lot more stuff, a lot more resources to win. If you're not going to run that, I'm going to kick you out because, dude, I'm here to win. Holy frick. I love people like that, but I don't want to play the game with them. I want to play the game with the guy who just got home from work and is drinking a beer and he's got his feet propped and he's going to laugh when the explosions happen. That's who I want to play with. Did you see that, bro? Like, that's who I want to play with. That's who I want to play with. I don't want to play with a guy that's crunching the numbers and telling me to get good. Okay, buddy. You go right. You go take your charts and your calculator and you have fun, man. I appreciate your passion, but I don't have any desire to play the game with you. I don't want to play the game with you, bro. I want to laugh and blow stuff up, you know? And listen, I appreciate you if you're a number crunching tryhard, but you can still just have fun with the boys. I really love you because you can turn that crap off. You can turn that part of your brain off. You can be like, we don't need to play that way right now. But the people that toxically kick and want you to run meta and they've crunched every number on God's green earth, oh my goodness gracious, no thanks. I'm good. I don't need to get good. It's a video game. It's not a lifetime achievement. All right? I don't need to get good. I'm not here to get good. I'm here to have fun. That's my new slogan. I'm a dad gamer from my head to my toes. I'll be 43 this year. And you know what I've run out of? I've run out of time to get good. I really have. I can't sweat for 6 hours and memorize maps and find the best choke points and know what the best weapon is and know what the best strategy is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to get good. I'm here to have a good time. That's what I'm here to do. You know? Imagine going bowling with your friend, and all of a sudden he comes behind you, and he's like trying to guide you on how to bowl, and he's like, what you really want to do is this, and you're going to maximize your opportunities for strikes, and this level of spin is known to have a propensity to land on the lead pin, so you don't want to use that. You want to land in the pocket, because when you land in the pocket, you're more likely to get a strike. If you're only hitting the lead pin, you're more likely to end up with a split. And it's like, dude, back the frick up. I'm just here to have some beers and to bowl. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, bro? I'm just here to bowl. You'd be like, dude, stop touching me. What are you doing? You know? Don't use his pulse rifles exclusively. Homie, dude, I'll die with a pulse rifle in my hand. You know what I'm saying? Bury me with a pulse rifle in my hand. Peak Dad Gamer? That's what I'm saying. I don't have time to get good. I'm busy, bro. If I've got an hour or two to play this game on my couch, I'm here to have a good time. That's what I'm here to do, bro. I'm just here to have a good time, man. Fun is subjective depending on the person. Oh, for sure, Axe Hand. And if somebody would go and bowl or play Helldivers like that, and that's how they extrapolate fun from the game, like I said, oh man, God love those people. You need those people. But I have no desire to play with them. Dude, I am not about to play Helldivers 2 with a try-hard, sweatband-wearing, G-Fuel snorting, get-good screaming player. I don't care. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't even go to the hardest content in Helldivers 2 for that reason. It's like, buddy, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I will laugh, I will hoot, I will holler, and I'll have a good time at level 4 and 5. Maybe 6 if I'm feeling froggy. But that's all I need, bro. That's all I need. We're having a good time, right? Like, we're having a good time. That's the energy I'm bringing to gaming lately. So I just want to have a good time, dude. They're worse than backseat gamers? Yeah, maybe. Backseat gamers, a lot of times, they are just trying to be helpful. I got good 20 years ago. No time for that now. I like that statement. Right, Fructor? It's like, oh, dude, I've done... Okay. It's like when... Like, I'm going to be coaching soccer, okay? And when I coach soccer, a lot of the times, you know, some of the parents will have, like, teenagers show up, and they'll kick the ball around at the end. And, buddy, they are playing. And they're trying to play awesome. And they're trying to really show off. And I'll go out and kind of kick the ball around with them for a little bit. And then they'll dust me because they're, you know, they're 16, and this is the thing that they do. And I'm like, good job, man. No, I'm not about to get a cramp and regret my life tomorrow. I'm not chasing you. Like, you are awesome. I'm not playing at that level. I'm 42. So you're great. Love to see that effort out there. You know? Love to see that effort out there. You know? It's like, my time is past. I'm not at that age anymore. Nonsense, darling. I'm in my prime. Like, I'm not in my prime anymore. So it's like, I look at games the same way. It's like, yeah, well, my time is past. I'm just here to have a good time. You know? There's always those dads that can't let it go and they're out there trying to prove something. I'm like, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to have to go to a masseuse or a physical therapist or a chiropractor if you keep it up. You're never going to keep up with them young bloods, dude. You never will. They're faster. They got more endurance. You know, they'll finish running around this soccer field and they'll go eat a pizza and you're going to feel like you need to go to the hospital. Like, that's the difference. That's the difference. And gaming ain't no different. Gaming ain't no different. Oh my gosh. I tell you what we're going to do, guys. Let's do the last 30 minutes of the we've been doing Q&A. Let's do Q&A. This is for members only. This is a great time to gift members, become a member, upgrade to Member Plus. We only need, let me actually check the number now. Let's check the numbers here. We've gotten a lot of you guys to upgrade to Member Plus and above. So right now, Member Plus and above, 486. Another person did it today. We need 14 more people to bump, and we will do a Saturday stream with the members. IRL, community game, something. I know a lot of you can't make it to Friday night. So consider upgrading to Member Plus and above. We only need 14 more people, and we will be halfway to our goal. If you can't afford a membership, hang out. Smash the like button. You might get a gifted. Right now is a good time for people to gift members because this is members only Q&A. You can submit a question with the question command, exclamation point question, and then it'll show up on the screen. So thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, supporting the content, for supporting the Q&A as well. We appreciate it so much. Reverse seer. The reverse seer we've set for like a larger goal. For 500, I would probably just do maybe like an IRL hangout and then maybe play some games with you guys or something. But the reverse seer stream we are going to do, but we would probably make that a larger goal. Yeah. Detective says, that's why I do platinums. It's primarily me against the game mechanics, not other people. Yes. Yeah, it's just you. Yeah, you and the game mechanics. Or you and the boss, or you and the level, or you and the whatever, for sure. Yeah, my kids and I and my wife have really been enjoying archery in the Olympics. So we watch the women play, and we have Korean friends, so we are just in there cheering for Korea, and they always crush it. They almost had three single medalists in the women. So we were watching the men play last night. And I was like, I just love this sport because it's so much it's kind of like golf. It's like it's you against them, but it's also like you against yourself, you know? I like that. Yes, it is possible. Yeah. If enough people upgrade, we'll do it. Our big goal for the channel, Ashen, is I want 1,000 people at Member Plus and above. And right now, we're about to hit that halfway mark, and we'll do a big celebration when we hit that. We've not watched a lot of the badminton. We've watched a lot of the other events, though. Here's our first question, coming in from Citizen JV. Is it worth it getting into Helldivers now despite the nerfs? If you have never played Helldivers 2 right now, I'm going to be dead honest with you. It's not going to be a game I could recommend because they don't do a good job with new player onboarding. You're going to be overwhelmed. There's going to be so many war bonds. I don't know. I continue to think I had to spend an evening, not even playing, I had to spend an evening basically researching and going around and literally reading guides in Deep Rock Galactic to understand what the frick, like what am I going to do and how am I going to do it in this game? Like I had to go around to like the computers and the stations and do all this reading because Deep Rock Galactic doesn't really do or tell you anything. Like the very, very first time I played Deep Rock Galactic with my wife we couldn't even figure out how to get ammo because the game just doesn't walk you through it. It didn't. Like, the tutorial glitched out for my wife, so she had to quit it. And when I did the tutorial, it never even walked through it. So maybe there were early missions that did and walked through how to do that. So we had to figure out how to get ammo. Okay, we figured that out. Then we had to figure out, like, well, how do you know where to go next? We found everything. It's like, oh, you're supposed to look for loose dirt. There'll be a section of loose dirt, and then you can use a 3D map, and you can kind of see where you're supposed to dig. Okay, that's incredibly helpful. Well, the only reason I know all that is because I went and read a bunch of menus, because I had the patience to say, I think we'll like this game. I want to go and do all the proper research. So that was me really, really committing to figuring all that out. Now, Helldivers 2, there's not a lot to figure out. It's a very, very straightforward game, right? You pick your weapons, your stratagems, you drop. You unlock more weapons and stratagems the more that you play. You start in the lower difficulties and you work your way up. I just really feel like the new player onboarding is terrible, and the war bonds are just going to make you feel like it's just too much of a good thing. You know, is chat having trouble today? It's consistently frozen on me today. Okay, there it goes. I keep getting freezes, and then like eight messages appear at once. Guys, we cleared the question queue. You do not have to submit questions about Helldivers. This is your time as members. You can submit a question about anything going on in gaming right now. Citizen's the only one that's done it so far. You guys have been doing, I mean, a ton of questions every day. So maybe a lot of you guys went heavy lurk because you just, I don't know, maybe you weren't interested in the Helldivers subject. That's fine. That's a great reason to tune in every day. If you're like, well, I don't really care about Helldivers, Q&A will happen, and that's your opportunity to ask me about other things going on in gaming. There's other things that hit the gaming news cycle in the last 24 to 48 hours that we obviously can't cover everything. So Digital Foundry is going to do a deep dive into Hellblade 2. I mean, I think that's going to be just an absolutely incredible breakdown of all of the work that went into that game with respect to like facial stuff, lighting, the world itself, you know? I'm excited about that. It's sad that the game itself did not feel like a complete package, like, at all. You know? Dave Langer asks a question. Will you check out Space Marine 2? Now, I heard that Space Marine 2 previews, like more of them will be hitting today. So we may end up checking that out. That may end up being a part of gaming news this week. Every Friday morning we do gaming news this week. We'll kind of like recap things that have happened and add other things that we might not have covered. I obviously can't cover everything. That's out of the question. There is a part of me that would enjoy doing, you know, more of just like a variety gaming news segment every day, but that's really, really difficult because YouTube has to understand where to put you. So picking a game and a topic about that game tends to be the most effective. And so if you guys like the idea of, you guys overwhelmed Nightbot. Okay, the only person that got through, Butters, you got through, and Lancelot, you got through. Infinite, you're going to have to resubmit your question. Lancelot and Butters, you guys got through. You do not need to resubmit. Nightbot literally had a conniption because you guys all hit Nightbot at once. So Infinite, you're the only one that has to resubmit. Lancelot asking a question about Helldivers 2 said, if you had to pick, what would be the third enemy in Helldivers 2 and what would be your ideal target to spread democracy? I mean, I think it would be really cool if some of the hinted enemies started showing up, like the Illuminate and the Cyborgs. I mean, I don't, for me personally, I don't have a dog in this fight with respect to like, well, I really hope that these enemies show up. To me, it's like just add new stuff, make it exciting, chaotic, powerful, and fun, and then add enemies that create a context for me to use that stuff. You know, if you're going to add cryo weapons or freeze weapons or whatever, you know, I would say give me a context where that's really, really fun. You know, that's, to me, that's what I would do. I would create that context of, like, if you're going to add new stuff, if you're going to add new enemies, you're going to add new planets, then that's quite literally what I would do. I don't really have a dog in the fight of, like, well, I really want to fight the Illuminate, or I really want to fight these guys or that guys or whatever. That to me is not as important as the experience itself needs to be laced with power, chaos, fun, and something that's fresh and new. And I think they can do it. I really do. Guys, if you've enjoyed the stream today, take a quick second. There was well over 400 people here the entire time. Really thrilled with that turnout. I was a little nervous going back to Helldivers again so soon, because it seems like a lot of people have kind of drifted from the game. But man, what a great turnout. Make sure you guys are smashing like, though. That does help the video even later once I'm not live, because people will come and watch this discussion later. Butter says, Warhammer, do you have any hype for it at all? I'm not a 40k person, but the stuff is looking wild. Listen, Warhammer Space Marine 2 is quite literally hitting a note that I think is going to resonate with the gaming community right now. I do. I think Space Marine 2, if it's been well optimized on console, we're hearing great things about the people who recently played it on PC. If it's been well optimized on console, I think it could end up being one of the games that ends up getting a lot of game nominations this year and a lot of praise. It could sort of hit that resonance with the gaming community right now that Helldivers 2 hit. I believe similar things about Astrobot. I think Astrobot is going to hit that resonance of, it's just fun. It's a video game. Right? Like, a lot of discussions around, I don't want to add a bunch of credence. I think people overstate, you know, the message, as Critical Drinker calls it, or, you know, woke is ruining games. But I do think there's been a lot of things recently that have really harmed games. Trend chasing, agendas getting preachy, modern daying the games. You know, I think a lot of those things have sort of like hurt games. And when I look at Helldivers 2, and I look at Space Marine 2, and I look at Astrobot, I'm like, oh, that's just a video game, bro. That's a video game. There's just, they're not trying to be something. They're not trying to prove anything. They're just like, nah, man, we're just here to be a video game. Yeah, you just shoot stuff and blow stuff up, make your character look awesome. You can play with your bros. Like, just a dadgum video game. And a 5-bomb from Rissick takes us to 344. You guys are just a teeny bit behind pace. If you want to hit 500 before the end of the day tomorrow, we'll turn tomorrow night into a Jackbox community game night. Somebody threw out the idea of a stretch goal, and you can make Madam play Destiny. You guys got a ways to go if that's going to happen. But you guys have gone crazy before. Okay. D the Great says, will you reach out to the Helldivers dev team? I don't really have a way of reaching out to them, but listen, I've said this many, many times before. I don't know how to market this. I don't know how to make this a reality. I've had it suggested to me quite a bit recently, like, you should be doing live service consultancy. I think that's getting a little bit delusions of grandeur, but I do think I have an ability to analyze games, break them down, and come up with what I think are very good ideas that are not unrealistic. I try to come up with ideas. I've always tried to do this. I always try to do this with Destiny. And everything I outlined today for Helldivers 2, I constrain the ideas within the game itself. It's like, I don't say, well, what they should do is they should add a planet with a volcano, and you go in the volcano and you fight a dragon. Like, I try to work within the confines of the game. It's like, I don't know how your systems work. I don't know all the ins and outs of your engine, but I feel like all the ideas I outlined today would work within what they do and what they commonly tweak, add, and adjust within Helldivers 2. I've always tried to do that. So, look, man, you want to have me sign an NDA and you want to pay me some kind of a stipend to give you feedback and to sit in on calls? Yo, I would freaking love that. I have no idea if that's even a thing. I have no idea if that's marketable or even something that could be monetized in a way that would be worth my time. So, I've always had people tell me you give away good ideas for free, right? You just put them out there in videos and you just give away good ideas for free. I think a lot of the times when you're willing to do that because you're like, well, listen, I'm not in the business of monetizing this. I'm more in the business of discussing and fostering a community. And if you vibe with that, then you'll come back to the channel. And that's what I always feel like if we're putting out good ideas and I'm putting out good discussions and good topics, I feel like that magnetism, that does help me do what I do for a living, because it's going to make you come back to the channel. So B41 is 0 with a member plus renewal, 26 months, sets up an easy 5-bomb dunker, 345. If we hit 350, guys, I'll owe you another 5 members. Yeah, I don't know how to say, like, hey, my email's here, my contact's here, open invitation. Listen, and the beauty of me doing that all in the background and signing NDAs is that nobody would ever know that you're talking to me. Because, listen, I know people are gross and and would make me radioactive. Like, you don't want to work with that guy, because, that's how we do business in this day and age. But, that's the beauty of NDAs and doing it, behind closed doors, is it doesn't need to be something that's, like, out there paraded around. Earned over 100,000 this year by using Lono's ideas with this one simple trick. JC says, have you checked the PC specs for Ragnarok yet? Believe they just dropped recently. No, I saw people putting that in the Discord. I'll happily look at that with you guys during Writer's Room. That's a great reason to become a member. To either pay for your own membership or be here often enough to get a gifted membership. You get to come to Writer's Room, which is us ending the day and planning the next day. It's kind of a behind the scenes thing. So that's a huge advantage to you guys. And yeah, we always take a look at stuff like that there. Kotz Tot says, what's your favorite go-to primary, secondary, and support weapon and explosive stratagem? Dude, I've not played the game in a super long time, so when I played last night, I was just enjoying being in the mech suit. I just called down the mech suit and was just enjoying, like, there's just something about just, and their controller's shaking, and then the bugs are just popping like they're nothing. And then I got out of the mech suit because I could hear creatures saying, you gave me an entire mission and you never left the mech suit. I didn't know that mission was going to have us in one spot. I just quickly picked the mission, match made, and that's what we were doing. So I got out and ran around, and I was just using one of the newer weapons from the whatever war bond it is, where you look like you're in the movie Predator and like everybody's got like camo on, and the one it's fully automatic weapon, it's like camo or whatever. I was just using that and it felt good. I was having fun. I love the impact grenade. I've always loved the impact grenade. You just see a group and you don't have to worry about timing or anything. You just throw the grenade, it hits the group, and as soon as it hits, it explodes. I've always loved the impact grenade. When it comes to stratagems, I'm a man of simple taste, dude. Mech suit's fun. Turrets are fun. I like the orbital beam that just kind of follows them. Yeah, Viper Commando. Yeah, I mean, this is where a lot of my ideas come from. It's like that line from the Joker. He's like, I'm a man of simple taste. I like, gunpowder and gasoline. And he's like, and what do they have in common? He's like, they're cheap. I think Helldivers could take a similar idea and philosophy. It's like the people that play this game are going to be people of simple taste. They like gunpowder and gasoline, and they're cheap. And you can add power and bombast and excitement and chaos, and it's just such a cheap thrill. It's just such an easy way to make people have fun. Lone Wolf with another question says, the first gameplay trailer for Splitgate 2 came out. They're going to do a live stream on the 14th with more details. What info do you want from them there? I mean, I would never want to put a team like that back on their heels, because I know they're... I like them, and I like what they did with the first game, but it's kind of the same question I would ask the Concord team. What makes you so special is essentially the question. And I don't mean that in a snide way. I genuinely mean that. You're coming out with an arena PvP shooter. Got it. Splitgate devs said they want Splitgate 2 to go for 10 years. Got it. Just a real quick question. Real simple question. What makes you so special? Why is anybody going to play that game? Why is anybody going to play an arena shooter for that long? Games like that are dependent upon a funnel. And if you don't have a player funnel, no one's playing. Or no one's having a good time. So I'm just like, okay. What makes you so special? I listen, portals, or, in Concord's case, like Destiny's gunplay meets hero abilities. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I know I sound like a cynic and a skeptic and a negative Nancy, but I just don't see it. I don't see how arena shooters can get enough momentum and traction and sustain a player base. I mean that. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you plan on doing it. I really don't. The market is saturated. Generally speaking, a lot of the players that play games right now are 28 and above, and we're all just getting what I would describe as PvP fatigue. We're done. We're aging out. We don't want to play anymore. We can't keep up. Been there, done that. Like, that's what a lot of the attitude is going to be of the aging player base. And I know what people are thinking. Bungie thinks it with Marathon. Well, we got to go for the younger players. That's why we're doing this. Arena shooters and Marathon being a hero extraction or whatever. We're going to get those younger players. Listen, I'll be honest. My son and my nephews, they had an awful lot of fun with Concord. Do you want to know what else my son and my nephews do? They switch games a lot. They stop playing games all of the time. Short attention spans. No reason to be loyal to a game. So, good luck. Good luck. The older generation is experiencing PvP fatigue, and the younger generation, they are about as fair weather as a front runner in a football game. Like, they are only going to go and with your game if they're having a good time or if their friends are having. As soon as their friends say, that game's lame, boring, or washed, as soon as your game gets that label with that generation, you are cooked, and no one will come back. That game's lame. That game's washed. All it takes is one content creator or one YouTube video to convince that younger generation that speaks in meme. I couldn't believe how much my nephews spoke in meme language. They kept saying that's cap. They kept saying prove it. They kept saying, I was like, oh my gosh. Like I'm telling you, these PvP arena games, I don't think they have shelf lives. I really don't. I think they're the end cap item in the grocery store. Hey, look at that. And then the next week you go back. That's not there anymore. Guys, we're going to take off in about 3 minutes. If we get 5 more members, I'll owe you 5. Let's hit that 350 and we can get out of here. If you guys go crazy and you hit 400, I'll drop a 20 bomb. I'll give you more than I owe you. All right? You guys can scramble. You got a few minutes. I'll set up writer's room. I got a couple more questions to answer here. Infinite says, have you checked out the final Wukong trailer? Pretty epic. I have. And here's the thing. We're hearing very good things about how it's been optimized for PlayStation, and I really, really hope those reports are accurate. I really, really do. I hope those reports are accurate. Because the biggest concern right now with any game that dabbles in Unreal is they're having a rough time. And that game of all games, you can't have a rough time. Have you seen the footage of Black Myth Wukong? It's like quick dodge, quick dodge, quick dodge. It's like, yeah, you can't be having performance issues in that game. So I hope all the reports we're hearing are true. I hope they weren't playing like highly optimized little vertical slices. I'll tell you what's in that game's corner is I do not think it's open world. I think it's like linear open area, and that should help with performance. Yo, bomb from Leo Mara. Thank you so much. I love when I see a newer name gifting members. $3.50 for the week. I owe you guys $5. And again, if you guys hit 400, I would only owe you 10. I'll do a 20 bomb if you guys scramble and hit 400. It's a gauntlet I throw down every once in a while. You guys got a little bit of time. I'll give you like an extra, 5 or so minutes. We'll see if people react. If not, totally cool. No sweat. We'll go to writer's room. Also, don't forget, this goal moves when you do your renewals. Guys, if you're paying for your membership, man, check and see if you have a renewal to celebrate. You can help us hit the goal, and you're already paying for the membership, so you might as well celebrate it. You just say, 26 months, thanks, Lono. Like, that counts towards the goal. Don't forget to do that. It's not open world. It has something like 81 bosses or something. Lone Wolf says, the main takeaway from the Splitgate 2 reveal to me was that they added what are basically classes. They call them factions, and they mentioned that there are other game modes. That won't change anything. Some are comparing it to God of War. Yeah, I heard it's kind of like Souls meets God of War, and I was like, give me that. Like Sekiro meets God of War. Not because of the parrying, but because of the level world design and the focus on boss fights. Sorry for the double dip. Says Citizen JV, but have you watched the final trailer for Black Myth Wukong? Oh, yeah. I have. Yeah, just like that. Just what Stephen Marsden did. 35 months and a VIP. Thank you so much. That's an Agents of Chaos as well. That pushes us past 350. So the next milestone will be 375. Oh, whoops. 351. There we go. That right there. What Stephen Marsden did, you're already paying for your membership. You just literally celebrate it. You just renew and put a little box in chat. We made that to where that adds to the goal because we want to thank the people that are paying for Member Plus and above. I think getting Wukong on PS5, the PC requirement specs are kind of beefy. Black Myth Wukong looks epic, says DSB. If the performance is right, it's looking like it could be a strong contender. I tell you what, I watched that trailer this morning, and I'm here to tell you, Black Myth Wukong is going to be a sleeper this year. Everybody's kind of thinking, could be good. No, it's the sleeper hit. It's going to be on a lot of the categories at the Game Awards as long as they nailed performance. Because the scope of the game and the theme and the vibe, dude, you know what I'm saying? That would be really good. Scotty B with a Member Plus renewal, 27 months, and takes us to 352. Thank you so much. Now, somebody replied to a comment on my Helldivers video. They replied to Fuzzy's comment. They said the problem is they have a narcissist in control of their game's design team with this person. I don't recognize this name, Alexis somebody, which probably means their balance talks are very difficult. And he managed to convince the top with his rhetoric that they don't know how to get him to they don't know how to get him to listen. That's why they're constantly creating toxic metas. They need to get rid of him, and they won't do it until the number of players drops. That seems to be all the CEO cares about. And a 10 bomb comes in from Behemoth. He says, come on, boys. We can do this. 362. Moving us closer to 400. Astro has melee and big bosses too. Yeah, Astro looks like a blast. I don't believe that at all. Astro will overshadow it. Well, I don't think that Black Myth is necessarily going to take over, but I think it's a sleeper, as in a lot of people aren't necessarily paying attention to it. Listen, I'm here to tell you, Astrobot could totally be that game this year that steals everything and takes Game of the Year. I've said that multiple times. You're a pony. No, I'm telling you, that's the kind of game that will get broad appeal and praise. And when you get broad appeal and praise, you want to know what happens? You get a lot of nominations. When you have narrow appeal and praise, like if you're like a sports game or like a car game or a fighting game, those don't get broad appeal. But a game like Astrobot that has that like Nintendo Mario vibe, oh yeah. King Slayer renews for 5 months and says Astrobot for Game of the Year. All right, we're going to extend just a little bit. I'm going to give you guys 7 minutes. What if Behemoth was pronounced Behemoth? Behemoth. I'd be surprised if Black Myth Wukong does better than an 85, says Eugene. I don't know, dude. That recent trailer, there's a vibe. That game's got a vibe. I'm telling you. J-Dog gifts a member. Many hands make light work, guys. Those single gifted members add up. And he bumps the line to 364. If you guys hit 400, I'm dropping a 20 bomb, and we are getting out of here. I've thrown down these gauntlets before, and you guys answer the call. I appreciate it so much. Helldivers just need to stop on the balancing and nerfs and focus on the community events and the objectives. I'm just going to keep saying that I feel like my video has the solution in it, the one that I uploaded today. So it's doing well. I hope it continues to do well. I hope the community vibes and shares it and circulates it, because I feel like I genuinely mean it. It's not, like I said it this morning in morning coffee, I was like, I don't just want that video to do well because I'm a YouTuber. Like, a YouTuber always wants their video to do well. I literally want it to do well because I'm like, I actually think these ideas would help this game significantly. And a 5 bomb from Siege Master takes us to 369. Nice. A little bit closer. Little member train here at the end, and they add up quickly. And another one comes in. JC rounds it out to 370. Thank you so much, JC. I kind of like doing the member runs either at the end of the stream. So it's not like when it happens right at the beginning, I'm always like, let's kind of get into this. Let's talk about this. And a 10 bomb and a 5 bomb. Like, I think this is the best time to do it because, like, the more loyal base of viewers is here and the talk show is kind of coming to an end. So thank you everybody right now that is rallying and scrambling with the gifteds. We are 30 members away from 400. Let me set up redirect. You guys have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let's see here. There we go. It's not saving. Come on, YouTube. There it goes. The redirect wasn't saving. I'm gonna take a little drink of coffee here. And thank you to all of the brand new subscribers today. People seem to really be enjoying this talk show. I think we got put somewhere on YouTube. We were getting a lot of people coming in that ordinarily we just don't see. Getting good results from search as well as browse. So if you found me today, if this Nerfs Don't Work live stream was on your homepage or it was suggested to you or recommended to you, thank you so much for clicking and joining us for today. We do a daily live show like this Monday through Friday. It almost always typically follows an upload. Fridays, though, we usually on Fridays start the day with just gaming news this week. No upload, just kind of going through stuff that has happened, maybe something I did not get to cover. And then the second segment on Fridays is also typically a live stream with my good friend 30 and Still Gaming. So we got about 3 minutes before we're going to go to the writer's room. And you guys are 30 away from 400. And I did throw down the gauntlet. Let's see if there's any more comments on the Helldivers video. They're definitely sociologically abusing us. LOL. No, they're not. And a 5 bomb comes in from Strong Loco. He says, let's do this. Just a couple more 5 bombs and we're home. 375. Thank you so much, Strong Loco. If you guys get a gifted member, make sure and say thank you to the person that did it. They just let you jump into the community for a whole month. You get a gifted member, you're part of this community for an entire month. You can get into the Discord, come to morning coffee, come to the writer's room, come to Friday nights. That's a lot of content and a lot of stuff that you now get access to. Make sure and say that you appreciate that. I mentioned your channel in Spawncast the past few Saturdays. Is that Spawn Waves thing that he does? Is it like a podcast or something? And a 20 bomb from Behemoth makes it really, really easy. 395, 5 away from the gauntlet that I threw down today. And a 10 bomb from Risic secures it. 405 on the day, making tomorrow extremely easy to hit 500. If you guys do that, tomorrow night's a community game night. We'll play some Jackbox, unfiltered. Now, the stretch goal is you can make my wife try out Destiny brands new. So we'll see. You guys are going to have to come really, really big tomorrow if that's something you want to see happen. If not, no sweat. We can always make that a goal for another week. But every Friday night we stream, no matter what. My wife and I do a stream. We sit here, we talk, we chat, we kind of hang out with you guys, and you can turn that into a community game night. And another 5 from Lone Wolf takes us to 410 on the day. He says, do you think we're done? He's like, we're not done. We're going to do a couple more. I owe you guys 20 members right now. How many is the stretch goal? We always do the stretch goal as like just an extra 100. So if you hit 500, 600 is a stretch. That wasn't even my idea. That was thrown out yesterday by somebody. They're like, hey, let's do a stretch goal and make Madam play Destiny. And I was like, sure. You guys could even help her. And a single. Keeping this for forever. Yeah, when you gift, you can't. It just takes over. Thank you so much, Raven, taking us to 411. Appreciate so much the constant generosity that this community has helping us grow this thing. And listen, I've said this many times recently. You guys see people doing member bombs and single gifteds. You can literally gift a member by getting out of the gifted pool. If you bump up to Member Plus, that's as good as gifting a member. It's $6 a month, right? It should only cost $1 to upgrade. It's $6 a month, and you're basically giving up your seats to somebody else. Some of you guys get a gifted membership every month, and you need it. You're like, I can't afford a membership, and we want you to keep getting that. But some of you guys get a gifted every month, and you could bump up, and you could make room for somebody else. Consider doing that. I gift constantly. So many people are constantly gifting, and let's make sure we're getting some new people in the door when we do that. And a bunch of you have upgraded to Member Plus and above. We now have almost 500 people at Member Plus and above. So thank you to everybody that has done that. The current count on Member Plus and above is 486. That's incredible. We only need 14 more people to do that, and we'll do a celebration Saturday stream for you guys. So thank you so much. I do now owe you guys 20 members, so I'm going to do that right now, all right? It looks absurd when your name's that long. Yeah, when you gift members, it looks absolutely absurd, Lone Wolf. I ran out of Google. Yeah. Rip yourself for next month. Well, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. There's the 20 that I owe you guys. I'll spam a link in chat in a little second here. Excuse me. And we will go to the writer's room. The writer's room is how we end the day and plan the next. You can do what I did. If you're dissatisfied with Game Pass, cancel it and get your own membership here. You'll save money and get better quality. Well, that's not exactly an equivalency, but I appreciate that so much. I don't think I'm equal to Game Pass, brother. All right. Okay, there's the 20 members that I owe. Thank you guys so much for that insane generosity. Tomorrow you guys can hit 500 easy peasy, especially with some of these big dogs coming in. Behemoth has been going crazy. MASH, Silent Spartan. Thank you for those big member bombs. And thank you to everybody else doing the 5 bombs as well. Those add up. Strong Loco and Lone Wolf and what is it? And the Siege Master. I appreciate it so much. And the singles also. The singles also add up very quickly. So thank you guys so much. Right now, if you're not a member, man, pick up your own member and come with us. And I'm going to spam the link in chat. Always remember, if you pick up your own membership, though, grab that Member Plus so you don't miss out on any of the content. Thanks so much for being a member, and you may have gotten a gifted member today or in the past. We had another huge day, well over 400 members, and people keep upgrading to Member Plus. Thank you for doing that. I keep seeing it go up. It's now at 486. We need 14 more to do it. So if you're doing that, you're the best. You're awesome, and I hope you enjoy the extra content, and I hope you get a celebration stream on a Saturday when we hit that goal. Every 100, every milestone will do that. So we're really close to 500. So thank you to everybody that's done that. Thank you everybody that gifts. And if you continue to get a gifted membership, welcome. We hope you enjoy the content. I'm going to end that Helldivers live stream, redirect folks over, and then change that thumbnail. I got to tell you, I was like extremely